Welcome to A Walk in My Stilettos, where our goal is to help you walk in your greatness. I'm your host, Makini Smith. We have conversations with amazing women that are letting us step into their stilettos. And I get inspired when I see another woman succeeding, but what inspires me more is her backstory and her mindset on how she got there. So today's guest is about to bless us with her testimony. But since you're already here, make sure you subscribe. I just wanted to take a quick second to thank the people that are giving us their feedback and leaving the reviews on iTunes for us to know what it is that you're really enjoying about the show. And today I'm going to read a review from Breeze Buzz is the name. And her review says the show, she gave us 5 stars and says, a rare gem. Listening to Makini's podcast is like having lunch with your girlfriends. It's real and enlightening, yet also comforting to hear about a whole host of women's journeys. Whenever I need a moment of relief or a laugh, I am happy to turn on A Walk in My Stilettos podcast, even if I'm rocking my sneaks. Thank you for all that you do, Makini. Thank you so much, Bree, for your review. So let's jump right in. Today we have a special treat for you. Today's guest, her name is Monique Bryan. She is a brand strategist and coach. I consider her to be a complete warrior. She's won a major battle. She is a stage 3 breast cancer survivor. And Monique has been featured on Entrepreneur Magazine, Bustle, and more. Please welcome to the show, Monique Bryan.
Hi.
Hey, girl.
Hey. What's up, Makini?
Thank you so much for agreeing to come on and to share your story with us.
Thank you for having me. I just love that review that you just read. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. People love what you're doing. People love it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I just really enjoy sharing all of your stories because I know how much it inspires me. And I know that there are so many women out here that will be touched by it and gain some really valuable jewels from just hearing your wisdom and how you've gotten through your adversity. So thank you so much for coming on and being a part of the platform.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.
I'm excited.
So good. Me too. So I love to start the show with an icebreaker question because I feel like oftentimes, when we do these features, we hear about all the different accolades and the different hats that women wear and all these great things, which I think is amazing. But I think that a title that doesn't get enough recognition is our name. We are called our names so many different times a day, and our names have meanings. And it often reflects who we are as a person, who we end up becoming. So my question to you, Monique, is do you know what your name means?
I actually do. I was like, I was like, oh my God, I know the answer to this. Because I had a friend who was a jewelry designer and her company was called Name. And it was literally building pieces around what your name meant. So I was so intrigued. And Monique actually means advisor.
Love it.
And I happen to be a coach. And I didn't start as a coach.
Look at that.
I know. I was like, oh my God, it was meant to be. So yes, I love that question.
Love it. So what did you want to be when you were a little girl?
A fashion designer. 100%. I was either going to be a fashion designer or a journalist. I started drawing when I was really young. As soon as I discovered Jeannie Becker on fashion television, that was huge for me. I was tape recording all of it on VHS, saving the tape. My mom threw all the tapes out. So now I don't have any of it. I had millions of fashion magazines and I just wanted to travel and go on runways and shop and buy things and make things. So that's what I ended up doing. I went to school for fashion design. I got a bachelor's in design and I went to work in the industry for 10 years.
Nice. Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
not everybody gets to be what they say they want to be when they're a kid. So it's interesting that I was like, no, this is it. Watch me.
And I love that. I was going to say, so you actually went through with it and decided to be that, which is beautiful. Like so many women that I talk to, what they wanted to be when they're a little girl doesn't always translate into who they are today. And some of them, whatever they wanted to be when they were a little girl, they went into different ventures and took on different opportunities, but it kind of sculpted in the end who they became. So I think that's interesting. I kind of want to get right into, I guess, the meat of things,
The
because
juice.
the juice. I want to get straight into your adversities here, because your story inspires me to a different level. Like, I think when I first saw how you decided to deal with it, I didn't even know you personally at that point. We were just connected through social media, and it
Mhm.
made me emotional. And then to watch where you are today, how you've taken that, how you've transitioned, like, you inspire me a great deal. You probably don't even realize. But I
Thank
want to jump
you.
in. You're welcome. I want to jump straight into your story of being diagnosed with cancer and how you reacted to it and what you did with that.
Yeah, 100%. It's so funny because I think I was saying this the other day when I was speaking on a panel. I was like, sometimes I feel like it happened to somebody else, and I kind of just watched it happen because
Mm,
it's like so much can happen when we go through traumatic experiences. Like a lot happens in a short period of time, and you think you may not come out of this. It's that bad. But
mhm,
then once you do, it's almost like you're like, wow, did that happen?
mhm,
No, So when I was diagnosed 2 years ago, I was giving myself an impromptu breast exam because I mean, what else would you be doing?
mm,
No, like when I was really young, I was watching, the show Beverly Hills 90210.
yep.
I was obsessed. I was 10 years old, not supposed to be watching the show because it was too adult. And Brenda and Kelly were giving themselves these breast exams because they found an article in a Cosmo magazine. And Brenda ends up finding a lump. She doesn't have cancer, but the entire episode was so traumatizing for my 10-year-old mind that I was checking my breast for the next 20 years.
Wow.
So 2 years ago, when I'm sitting watching Netflix with my husband, I decided to give myself an impromptu breast exam. And I find this lump near my collarbone, and it didn't hurt. It didn't move. It was so faint. I thought it was maybe a pulled muscle. So
Mhm,
I was like, honey, what do you think about this thing? He's like, no, I don't know. He's like, that's weird. He's like, you should probably get it checked. And I just looked at him like, really? And he's like, well, just be safe, peace of mind and whatnot. I go to the doctor, same thing. He's like, it's probably nothing, but we'll do some tests to make sure. And within 3 weeks, 2 mammograms, one MRI, and 2 ultrasounds and a biopsy, and they were like, "Yeah, you have stage 3 breast cancer, and it's
wow.
spread to your lymph nodes." And I was like, "You're crazy. I feel fine. You have cancer. Get out of my
Wow.
face." I was like
Wow.
in denial. I was like, "Are you crazy? I am the healthiest person all of my friends know." You're
Wow.
like, it was such a shock to say the least. It's like, you know, I just felt like I was doing everything right up until that point. I was
Mhm.
very ignorant to who gets cancer, what cancer means, how to prevent it, all of those things. I really just thought people who got cancer caused their own cancer. That's what I said to
Wow.
myself. That's how I was walking around in the world.
Wow.
Oh, they must be super stressed. They got cancer. Oh, they must be a smoker. They must be a meat eater. Like, seriously on my soapbox that I got kicked off of so quick that I think was necessary, first of all. And it totally opened my eyes to the empathetic place I needed to be coming from, first of all, with all of humanity, but also
Mhm.
just realizing the next healthy day isn't promised. And what am I going to do from this point forward?
Mhm.
Because as you know, like things will happen and it moves us into that next piece of our life. But if nothing happens, a lot of us don't do shit.
Yep.
We're just
Yep.
like, someday, one day, I'll do the thing. I'll quit the job. I'll find the guy. I'll find the girl. One day, I'll take the trip. One day.
I feel like that mindset, we take for granted what we have, but we have the audacity to feel like tomorrow is promised to us. When we procrastinate, it's like us
Mm-hmm.
saying, I have more time here. I'm not concerned. Like, I don't
Mm.
need to do it right now.
I love that you said that. I never thought about the procrastination piece that way, but it's true. It's like we have the audacity to say, tomorrow I will open my eyes
Mhm.
and do this again. Yeah, that's really deep. It's so I got a new zest, craving for life from that experience. I spent the next 9 months in recovery. I did 8 rounds of chemo. I had surgery, a lumpectomy surgery. I got an infection from the surgery, which left me with carrying a mini vacuum attached to my boob for 2 months. That was an
Wow.
interesting fashion choice, and
Wow.
that I had to hide in my bra. And it was funny because I remember, like, me and my husband really love to go to the movies, but the vacuum is always going, and you don't know when it's going to be making noise. And you'd be in the movies and it'd be like, rah, 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 rah. I was like, oh my
Oh,
god, honey,
wow.
we have to get it. He's like, just put your coat over it. Put your coat on it.
Oh my gosh.
At the time, it was not funny, but now I look back, I'm like, that was funny. And then I had 21 rounds of radiation, and before I was even finished, I was like ready to go like full throttle into building the business I was meant to build, helping the women I was meant to help. Yeah, there was just like no more waiting.
Wow.
I have no
Like
more waiting.
you immediately took your experience and you used that to inspire others. What was going through your mind when you decided to do that?
Well, I was very lucky in that I was in a coaching program to be a coach when I was diagnosed. So I was around a lot of powerful people who
Mhm.
I consider powerful people in who they are. And I had a head coach, her name was Audrey, and she was there with me through as soon as I found the lump. So when I was sitting in the doctor's office saying, okay, I'm going to go find out, my husband was there too, but Audrey had a different, coaches speak to coaches differently. It's a different
Yeah.
skill set.
Yes.
So when I was diagnosed, she became my unofficial cancer coach. And, she's like, you're going to call me every day to talk you out of that crazy place called your mind, because this isn't going to take you out.
Mhm.
It's not taking you out. You get to decide how this goes. And she said, the only ask I have is that one day you pay this forward.
Wow.
And I was like, I don't know how I could. Okay, fine, let's do this. And I didn't realize how many people I would meet through going through cancer, their own cancer journey, or having a loved one go through it, how alone everybody was.
Mhm.
I took for granted the amount of friends I have, the support system I have in my family, like people who would come and do my laundry for me. Like I couldn't do anything. I couldn't clean, I couldn't cook. I could sleep. I couldn't walk up the stairs. I couldn't do anything. I never took for granted the spouse that I have. He is my rock. He is like everything. But
Mhm.
I sometimes forget other people don't have that. You
Yeah.
getting married doesn't automatically mean you've got a partner. It doesn't mean it. No, it doesn't mean that they're going to be your partner. They're
Right.
supposed to be your partner, but it doesn't mean that that's what they have. And I would speak to women I still haven't met to this day, who would find me on Facebook and find me through my blog and be like, my husband doesn't understand. He doesn't
Mhm.
get why I don't want to go out. He doesn't get why, I don't want to have sex. He doesn't get like all of these little things.
Right.
And I was like, wow, I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky that I don't have to have those conversations while I'm healing.
Mhm.
So I was like, if anybody can hear my story and I can speak to not just the people going through it, but the caregivers, the caretakers, if there's anything I can offer them so they can better support the ones who are going through it, I was like, then I have to speak up.
Right. Like okay, I remember the post on Facebook where you were like, "Surprise, it's cancer." And I was like,
Everyone was like,
"What?"
what?
Oh, what? That was my reaction. And every post you did after that, like I was following your journey on Instagram after that, it was like you were walking us through the experience. And I'm gonna try not to get emotional right now. um, you walked us through what you were going through, and I thought, wow, she's strong. You have no idea the strength that you exude. You have no idea how you are impacting people that may not have cancer or be a caregiver, but just people who have any form of empathy. You're sharing your experience of what you went through with your cancer walk actually, um, Don't cry, bikini.
Crying is, I don't know how
my
you kind of stop yourself. We as women, we gotta stop that. So don't
no,
cry, the emotion. I'm
listen,
like, these are just emotions, and this is how we are. Watch me.
I used to be so emotional that I would cry for certain commercials, like
I cry for
movies.
all kinds of commercials, but the
I'm,
difference now,
yeah,
I don't shut any of it down, eh? I'll be watching something, and Corey will be like, "Are you crying over the friggin' peanut butter commercial with the two bears?" I said, "Yes, I am.
yes, I am.
Yes, it'll be over soon. Look away."
I went through a period where I tried to talk myself down from the crying because I'm like, seriously, do you have to cry for everything? Is that really necessary? But now
Fine,
I'm
fine.
owning it. I'm just
Own that.
today was for this episode. I'm trying not to cry because I'm like, I'm trying to make this about you. It's not about me right now.
It's about us.
It's
Because
about
we met
us.
and we have different, like, I was very inspired by your story and your struggle. And I'm sure, like, something you said to me, while I was, I'm still trying to write the book, right?
Mhm,
We've talked about this.
mhm,
And I have it in my head that it has to be a certain way. And I get so wrapped up in how it should be that I haven't written it. And
mhm.
it gives me anxiety because I'm like, I know it could help so many people. So with the
Yeah,
book and what you said to me, Monique, the story is about you, but maybe it's not for you. And
yeah,
I never forgot that, right? And I was just
yeah,
like, oh my God, it's not for me. I got to get it out there. So many
yeah.
people can help, you know? So it's like, it's about all of us.
It
I
is.
know
It
I know it's about
is.
me today because we're on this podcast, but it's about all of us.
Like your story may be about you, but it isn't necessarily only for you. There's so many parts of your story that can help another person. And, that's what I was trying to say before, I started getting emotional is 2019 has been a bit of a struggle for me, health wise. And I've had multiple cancer scares in the last year in different parts of my body and having things removed and being treated for different things. And I'm just like, okay, suck it up, McKinney. Like Monique went through this, and she took it like a champ. So that's why I'm like, you inspired me. You are a warrior in my eyes.
Oh my God. I
So
didn't know you were going through all of that. Jesus. And
there are some things that we share on social media and some things we
right.
don't. And then
Yeah.
it's
Some
like
things we keep
people have
private.
this
100%.
exactly. So people
And
have this perception that everything is perfect because you're still doing certain things. I
mm-hmm.
may no longer be attending events and doing certain things regularly. I'm still consistently putting out podcasts and doing certain things, but behind closed doors, there are things that I'm battling. Like my first scare happened about a year and a half ago, where they thought I had cervical cancer, and I was being tested every month, and I had to have laser surgery to have the cells removed, and that didn't work. And then because of the regular testing for my cervix, they had to remove my IUD, which irritated my cyst in my uterus, which
Oh, for
started to
God's
grow
sakes.
and block my tubes, which dropped my hemoglobin where I couldn't function because I was
Oh, for
completely
God's sakes.
lethargic. And then that they had to there were some like it was so many issues within my uterus that we had to do a hysterectomy. So I had to remove my uterus and my cervix.
Oh my
And then after
God.
that, yeah. And then I had infections after the surgery, and it's been infection after infection. And then they thought that I may have colon cancer, but now it's an infection in my colon. Like it's just it's been
Jeez.
it's been an interesting
Bikini.
year. So that's why I was like, I need you to come on and to share your story because you
All right,
inspire me.
listen.
And
Okay, now we're having a different conversation. Listen, Linda. Listen. Okay, listen. First of all, I am so sorry you were going through all of that. That sounds excruciating. And I want you to get that's something you said that other people say to me, and I want to just like clarify it a little bit. No matter what I went through, no matter how quote unquote strong I looked, we are all going through what we're going through, and it's just as traumatic for us, whatever the thing is. Just
Mhm,
because the word cancer is in there doesn't make it that more, I'm not going to say serious, but that more important. And there
mhm,
were parts that I didn't share online on the days I wasn't strong. There were sometimes I would cry online and people would get to see that. And I tried to live my best life out loud because that's what made
mhm,
me happy and that's what got me through. But there are blog posts that I wrote that the only people who will ever see it are the people who read the book because they were too
mhm,
much. They weren't the
mhm.
pieces I was ready to share. So you don't need to suck anything up. Okay? Because what you're going through, all of that uncertainty, the back and forth, the doctors, the infection, like the hysterectomy, like those are big surgery. That is a big friggin' deal. And I don't want you to downplay it just because you didn't have cancer. And that goes for everybody listening.
You're absolutely right.
This is when I'm looking over my glasses. I'm looking at my glasses. I'm like, girl, I'm talking to you.
That part, well, I mean, now it's on the podcast, but that part, little bits of me having to remove my uterus and stuff like that, I have shared like on my Instagram, but I do intend to go deeper into sharing that online. But for me, I find it's easier for me to be able to share and inspire and serve after I've experienced, because I think sometimes in the moment, I'm not necessarily looking at it. How do I say this? I may not necessarily be looking at it from, okay, how can I serve? And that's why I'm inspired that you were immediately able to take your experience and flip it that way. I find for me, it's usually after the fact where I can go through the details and say, this is what I went through, but here is how I got through it, and here's how it can help you. So, okay,
Yeah,
how has
mine was
mindset
a
played?
mine was a verbal dump. That's what mine was. Sorry. Mindset.
And I love it. So that's what I want to ask you. Like, how has mindset played a role in it all for you?
Oh, mindset was huge. It was the thing that had me, I would say, not fall into a deep depression for sure. Our mind is such a fragile thing. No matter how strong we think we are, when you're, locked up in your house for a certain amount of weeks, not seeing light, not seeing other humans, your brain can totally play tricks on you and have you doubt you making it through the journey. So, I was meditating, something I wasn't doing enough of before the whole experience, but I couldn't, literally, there were days I couldn't do anything else but meditate. Couldn't move, I couldn't go anywhere. So I was like, you better sit your ass here. You just deep breathe this out. And then keeping a lot of positive vibes around me. So I was very careful who I brought into my circle around when I wasn't feeling my best. And I mean, my husband was one of those people, but he knows me well enough to know how to operate, which was great. And the writing, the blog, it was very therapeutic. It took away that lonely piece, which can happen when you're going through anything, because you're like, nobody else gets it. This is just me.
Right.
I'm here by myself in my house, no hair, no eyebrows, no will to live. And when I wrote about it and shared it and had people comment, some of it I didn't want to hear, and those people got deleted off of Facebook. Or they were like, deleted quick. I was in my angry place. And but the other people, the ones who really, I would say, tried to understand, it was just really comforting, because I didn't feel like I was by myself. I had all of these people commenting and following and sending me messages and just checking on how I was doing and sending me links for things and connecting me with other cancer warriors. And I met some of the greatest people through these people, strangers introducing me to other strangers.
Yeah.
Who now I speak on panels with, and I can call at any given time and just be like, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. So the mental game is everything, because our body is our body. I think it's a miracle. I believe it can heal itself if it's treated right.
Yes, agreed.
And it starts internally. It starts with your brain power. It starts up here. Like, you get to decide how this is going to go.
I think that people don't understand how powerful the mind is. And then there's a lot of people that, believe that the whole positive mindset stuff is all like hocus pocus and a bunch of fluff. But when you get deep into the foundation of it, and how our mind actually functions, and, your subconscious mind and your feelings, and how this all affects your body, it's major. I really wish
Huge.
that people wouldn't be so ignorant to look into the details. Okay, so you don't believe, what so and so is saying online, but do your own research, do your own due diligence, and look further into it, because it is essential into the results that we get in life, not just in business, but in health and in our personal relationships. So my question to you is, how has this experience changed how you view life going forward?
Yeah. As you were saying that last thing you just said, one thing I would say around the positivity piece is, I just want to stress to people that when we say like be positive and surround yourself with positivity and like get your mind right, it doesn't mean not to feel all the feels. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing that people would mistaken being positive with disregarding how you're feeling in the moment. And that was a big piece of advice I got from a cancer survivor before
Mm-hmm.
I started treatment. She said, feel everything you're going to feel and don't let anyone tell you different.
Mm-hmm.
So anger, fear, deny, whatever it is, make sure you acknowledge it. Don't stay there. Don't stay in the dark, deep holes. But if you don't acknowledge them, they're going to show up. And then there's
Yeah,
no
it's
way you
part of
can
your
be
healing
positive.
process. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
just to that point, and then how I deal with things going forward today, it's like I just have it that I don't know how this is going to come across. It's like I feel now, like I feel like I can have anything I want.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like before I had a lot of doubts around what was possible for me. And now I feel like if I can beat that, I can have anything I want. And
Mm-hmm.
if I can't, and I won't know unless I go try the thing.
Yes.
So regardless if I'm fearful of something, I'm still going to go do the something because the regrets are not going to live over here with Monique. There is
Right.
no room for that at all. So if I think I'm going to regret it, then I'm going to do it. I don't care what I got to do. It's going to happen. And I also find that I'm very sensitive to people who, I should say more sensitive to people who are in that place of I can't, it won't work, it won't, like any of that cynicism. I
Mm-hmm.
really try to distance myself or
Yes.
shut that
Yeah.
shit down because
Yeah.
it actually angers me.
Yeah.
It angers me when they say it. I don't want to be that person because I'm just like, we are who we are. We have our experiences. So, when you just give them a bly, they are how they are. But I like, especially with my clients and stuff, it's always like, how do we get what you want? How do we get you what you want? There is no can't.
Right. What's the
There,
solution?
what is it? Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Yes.
So I have a real go and do as whatever I can do as much as I can do for as long as I can do it. That's what's
Love
different.
it. So what advice would you give a woman that's just discovered she has breast cancer?
I would say definitely the feel all the feels is one.
Mm-hmm.
Like however you're feeling, honor that, acknowledge it, work through it. Surround yourself with a good support system because you're going to need them. The ones who take you to your doctor's appointments, don't go anywhere alone. All the women out there listening saying, I can do this by myself. You can, and you don't have to. It'll make it a
Mm-hmm.
lot easier. I went to one doctor's appointment alone, and that was the only one, and it was the worst one
Wow.
because I wasn't with anybody. There's
Right.
something that happens when there's another human there, you're having a conversation versus watching every other sick person in your chemo clinic, in the waiting room, anything the doctor says that they need to catch. So have someone with you if you can to come with you to your doctor's appointments. And then the other thing I would say is, plan for your future. You're going to go through something and it's going to be horrible. I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to plan as if when this is over, you're going to go do the things.
Mm-hmm.
When this is
Wow.
over, you're going to go live. And this is what my coach said to me when I was like literally like calling her at like 11 o'clock at night I'm just like, I can't go on. And she's like, Monique, I promise you, when this is over, you're going to go on to live a juicy, delicious life. And I was like, she's crazy. She's on my nerves and she's crazy. And I just kept trying to keep that in my head all the time. I'm like, okay, juicy, delicious life. Audrey says I'm going to have a juicy, delicious life. What does the juicy, delicious life look like for Monique? You
Right.
know? And I would just sit there and talk it out and be like, okay, to my husband Corey, I was like, this is what we're going to do when I'm done this bad boy. We're going here. I started planning our trip to Portugal. He had never been to Europe. We did that as soon as I was cleared. The thinking of the future made the present not as hard because I know
I I think that's beautiful. The whole visualization of things, because that's actually one of the practices that we use in mindset coaching, is getting you to visualizing what it is that you actually want. What excites you, where do you want to live? Where do you want to travel? What kind of car do you want to drive? What do you want your life to
Yes.
look like? So getting people to do that now so that when they're moving in their goals, they actually know what they're working towards. Because so many people
Yes.
are lost and moving all over the place because they're not actually visualizing what it is that they want. They're just living day to day, doing what they're told, being robots, but we're
Hmm.
human beings with feelings and dreams and visions.
Yes, that's what makes us human beings. That's what makes us different from the animals.
Exactly,
Our
exactly.
imagination. Yeah.
So, I mean, you're a brand strategist, you're a coach, you've been through this traumatic experience, you're a wife, you're doing all of these things. What is Monique's self-care routine?
Hmm. Monique's so busy going in 100 miles an hour, she has to check in sometimes. Sometimes, my husband's just like, "Can you calm down? Can you calm down? Just take a
Slow your
breath."
roll.
He's like, "Take a breath." So one thing I like to do, going to the gym on a regular basis, even I always had it that if I go to the gym, it has to be like I'm doing this vigorous workout where I'm only sweating into my eyeballs. But any form of movement, I realize how important it is. Any form. So movement every day is key. The other thing is I like to check in with my intuition. So one thing I made a new rule, which is my intuition knows everything. Always listen to it. I don't care what it is because it's never wrong.
Hmm.
And the more we
Right.
listen to it, the more we'll trust it, right? So I always know when something is off with me. And whenever that happens, I don't ignore it. It's like, okay, Monique, you need to check in. What's off? What
Right.
have you been
Right.
eating? What have you been doing? Who have you been speaking to? How are your finances? Because when those things are in alignment, I'm fine. What's
Right.
going on? So my self care is really around the check in, I call it. It's like I constantly have to check in. Am I sleeping enough? That's another one. It's like if you keep saying you're tired, when are you going to sit your ass down and go sleep? Okay,
Hmm.
that means you have to go to sleep at 9 or 8. That means you got to go to sleep. Yeah, you'll have to miss
Hmm.
your shows. It's fine. And then when it gets really bad, writing. Writing is my other piece because I know if I take it out of my head and put it on paper, it's never as bad. I always get clarity that way. So I really
Yep.
should be writing every day. Now that I think about it, I don't know why I'm waiting for it to get so bad, but old habits, hard to break.
Yes.
Yeah,
Wow.
and
Okay.
and the vision board. Ooh, I love me a vision board.
Mm.
I feel like that's self care because I get to look at it all the time. Be like,
Yes,
ooh,
I
look at my
agree.
house, look at my pool, look
The
at
whole
my brand new
visualizing.
car.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I love it. I love it. So I read this article that says that your favorite type of shoe says a lot about your personality. So
Oh,
my question to you, Monique,
that's
is
so
what
good.
what is your favorite type of shoe? Is it a flat, a stiletto, a flip-flop, a boot, a
I will
sneaker?
tell you. I will tell you. My favorite shoe, and everyone who follows me on Instagram, if they followed me to California through the journey, I bought these black suede stilettos with spikes all over them.
Mm.
These are my shoe. They are set. I can only walk in them for a few hours, maybe 2 hours. Maybe that's it. But they are so sexy and badass. And most of my shoes have spikes on them. Like quite a few of my shoes have spikes.
Love it, love it, love it. So if your favorite shoe is like flashy stilettos, you work hard and you have excellent taste.
I
They
love
have
this.
more you have more drive and determination and a standout work ethic. This is someone who says yes before she says no. She is very willing
Oh,
and very open to possibilities. She also really loves and values beauty, so she surrounds herself with beauty, whether it be things, people, or how she lives. It doesn't always have to
girl,
be expensive. It just needs to be pleasing to the eye.
this is me in like a. Who wrote this? Who wrote this? This
So
is
it's
like
actually a
literally.
it's a it's a Reader's Digest article
Oh my god.
by who's it? Aubrey Alman
Okay, you're gonna have to
Al
message me. You're
Al
gonna have to send that to me.
yeah, I'll send it to you.
This is crazy because I literally just did a personality like behavioral test, a Colby assessment, and
Mhm.
that's like it's very like that's basically what it said about me.
Yeah.
I'm
So
always a
I
yes
saw
and
this
figure it out later. I love this.
When I saw the article, I was like, oh my God, I need to ask every guest that comes on the show, like, what their favorite type of shoe is. That's like
Yes,
on point because, I'm a stiletto girl. So
of
yeah, it's
course.
so on point. And it's been,
Oh,
so far, it's been on point with every single guest. So I think that's awesome. So I
oh, I
want you to
love that.
tell everyone where they can stay connected with you online before I ask you final questions.
Absolutely. So you can visit me on my website at Monique Bryan, and that's Bryan with a Y.com. I also go live on Instagram Mondays, 11 a.m. Standard Eastern Time, and I do the Dirty 30, which is 30 minutes of branding tips, and that's Monique Bryan _co. And on Facebook at I am Monique Bryan.
Perfect. So in the detailed description underneath your episode, I will put all of those links to your website and your socials so people can find you and connect with you instantly.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So the final segment, I like to ask some reflection questions. I call it a walk in her stilettos. This is where you just share your inspiration. And for the interest of time, I'll probably just pick two. Let's see. Name a book that has changed or greatly impacted your life.
Ooh, there's a lot. Only one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so The Desire Map by Danielle Laporte.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who gets this book who loves anybody about visualization, around building out your plan for your life, all areas of your life, that's the book. It's amazing. It's like there's workbook / book. So I really love that.
Okay. Name one of the most worthwhile investments you've ever made. That could be money, time, energy.
Worthwhile investments I ever made. Well, right after I finished radiation, I bought a ticket to the Bliss Project, Lori Harder's Bliss Project in California 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing. It's like a personal development conference for women to 3 days, 2 or 3 days. And when I was there, I got to meet Lori. I'm all up on people, right? And I said to her, next year, I'm going to be speaking from your stage. And she was like, okay, girl, never seen me before.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's
Mm-hmm.
what I'm meant to do. And 3 weeks before her event this year, she contacted me and she said, where is your application? And I was like,
oh my God.
oh. And
I love it.
she's like, and she's like, I'd be honored if you spoke on my stage. And I was like, oh.
Wow.
And I did. I got to go, and the talk is online. It's on YouTube, and it was the best thing I could have done. I would say I could die happy now.
Wow.
It was just a great experience. The audience was great. I felt very supported. I felt in my element. I didn't know how to use the damn clicker button screen thing. So luckily I had the whole thing memorized, otherwise I wouldn't know what the hell I was saying. And I just felt so at home. And
wow.
I got a standing ovation, tears and everything from everyone, including myself. It was just so amazing. It's one of those things that you hear about and you're like, man, that was in a movie. I was like, girl, that's my life now. That's my life.
That's your life. Your life is so inspiring. And thank you, Monique, for inspiring me and now my audience. I think that you're absolutely beautiful inside and out. Continue doing what it is that you're doing. And I don't know, don't get emotional. No. I want to thank you. We'll talk some more offline. I just want to thank you for taking the time to join us. Thank you. Thank you. And to all of our guests, until next time, download the Walk in My Stilettos app and subscribe to our newsletter at walkinmystilettos.com. I want to hear from you. If you have not shared your feedback with us yet, leave us a review. What did you think about the conversation with Monique? What gems did she leave you with? How did she inspire you? And what do you have to add to the conversation? Please go to iTunes now, rate the podcast and subscribe and leave your review. Feel free to screenshot the episode. And when you post it on Insta, tag Monique. Say your Insta tagline again, girl.
Monique Bryan _co. Bryan with a Y.
There you go. And tag me at The Real McKinney Smith. Thank you for your time and continue to walk in greatness in your stilettos in a manner worthy of your calling.